you. The flesh has one purpose: to destroy you and Christianity and Jesus in your life. You say, that sounds like the devil. Well, that is absolutely the devil. But how does the devil gain access to your life? Through your flesh. The flesh is the destroyer of your life. The flesh wants nothing but to destroy your life. All right, what is flesh? Flesh is any selfish attitude, selfish desire that you have. It is out to destroy you. To give in to the flesh, to the thirst after the things of this life. I want everything this life can give me. To search after that, to seek after that, to desire that, to go after that, is to have your life destroyed. So how can you say that? Well, I can say that because in the Gospels it says those that will lay down their lives for the gospel, they'll get it back. Those that seek their lives, seek to maintain a life, seek to have a life in this life, will lose it, have it destroyed. How long will you hold between two opinions? So make up your mind. Make up your mind today. God hates that Christians won't make up their mind. They're caught in between. Laodicean in the book of Revelation says that God wants to spew them out of their mouth. Why? Because they're neither hot nor cold. They can't make up their mind. Will you please make up your mind, God says today. Stop halting between two opinions. Your opinion is nothing. Just side with me and I'll bless you. Amen? How long will you halt between two opinions? And the people answered him not a word. I would have been screaming, I'm going to follow Jesus. I'm going to follow God. I'm going to live according to the commandments of God. Where were they? What would you have done if you were in that day? 400 prophets of Baal and one lone man of God standing up. Who would you side with? Would you have sided with the crowd? Will you side with the crowd? Would you have sided with the prophets of Baal because they were more of them than the man of God? Man of God, just one man. Who would you side with? Who do you side with every day in your life? Do you side with the crowd, with the world? Do you side with your friends, the world, who live according to the world? May not have your best interest. Don't live according to the will of God. Who do you side with? The multitudes or Jesus? Jesus one, multitudes many. Who are you going to side with? Who do you choose? Whose opinion do you choose? We all got to have our opinion, don't we? That's what causes divisions. That's what causes strife. That's what brings the possessor of destruction. Who would you have sided with? Would you have been motivated by the flesh, by fear, unbelief, doubt, fearing for your very life? Remember, if you go back in the previous chapters, Jezebel was killing any prophet. Ahab was the king. He was the king of Israel. He did that which displeased the Lord. He couldn't do any. He didn't follow any commandments, and he even went, they said, as far as to marry Jezebel, who was the who was the daughter of Ethbaal. Ethbaal means with Baal, the king of Sidon. He went as far as to marry the daughter of a king of Sidon who was fully, that's what Ethbaal means, fully on the side of Baal. He went, no, he just didn't disobey. He went one step further. Who are you married to today? Are you married to God, or are you married to your flesh? You see, it's not just up here. I mean, it starts up here, but you have to look. It's not just a belief. It has to become a reality. What would you have done? And the people answered him, not a word. What do you answer? If you're in a crowd and everybody says, oh, let's do all this, let's do this. And you know it's not according to the commandments of God. You know it's not truth. You know it's not right. Are you going to stand up and say, no, this is what we need to do. This is what I'm going to do. Can you do that in a crowd of 400? They say, let's go ahead, let's do this. Let's kill the guy. Can you stand up and say, no, that's not right? No, I'm not going to do that. That's not what Jesus would do to coin a phrase. That's not what, I don't really like that because Jesus is alive now. I like the phrase, what is Jesus doing? Not what would Jesus do. What is Jesus doing? What is he doing right now? What is his will right now in the present? Amen? The people answered, they were afraid. They thought what Jezebel did is she took and killed any prophet of God that she could find. Obadiah, back in the previous chapter, he hid 100 prophets in the cave, fed them with bread and water. So it was certain. They thought they certainly were going to die. If they answered the man of God, if they answered the Spirit of God. Are you going to die if you answer the Spirit of God? Yes, you will die if you answer the Spirit of God. What death am I talking about? The death of yourself. The death of your own ways. The death of your selfish expression of your will. Your thirst to have all that this world could have. If you answer the Spirit of God, yes, your flesh will die. But as we see and go on to see, you'll have more peace, joy. You'll have the blessing of God on your life. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Verse 22 says, then said Elijah unto the people, I, even I, only remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Well, was it true? Well, we just said that Obadiah had hid 100 prophets in the caves. But where were they? They were in the cave. Why didn't they come out and stand beside Elijah? Why weren't there 101 prophets there? Because they were afraid. Even the rest of the men of God, the prophets of God, were hiding in caves. Why? Because they let fear rule them. You see, you can be a Christian today and you can still let fear rule you, motivate you, keeping you for standing up what is right. I'm not just talking about out there in the public or in a crowd. I'm saying, where up here in your own mind can you stand up to your flesh and say, no, I'm going to live according to the commandments of the Lord. I'm going to live according to what Jesus is doing in my life. What Jesus has once done in my life. What Jesus is doing. Amen? I'm going to live according to the things of the Spirit. I'm going to mind the things of the Spirit. To mind is to think about. To have it in control. To have it focused. Amen? To focus on the Spirit of God. To focus on the will of God. To focus on Jesus. Amen? But yeah, he was right in the sense there were 100 other prophets, but they were hiding in caves. He was the only one out there. He was the only one that was going to stand up to the God of divisions. He was the only one that was standing up against the possessor of destruction. Who was really, if you go back to the first verse, who was really troubling Israel? Ahab, Jezebel, and everybody that followed Baal. They were the ones that were bringing destruction to Israel. When God, if you look back over especially the judges, what would happen? Israel would fall into sin. God would send in a judge. Amen? Send in a judge. The judge would deliver them. But then he would have to also deal with their sin. And get them back in, I call it, believing ground. Back in right standing with God. Get them out of their sin. Get them back into following the commandments of God. Will you stand up for the Spirit of God in your life? Will you stand up for Jesus that is in your life?